California has no idea what is going to happen when Alex Eala travels to Indian Wells. The amount of Filipinos participating in this tournament is unprecedented. Sections are being reserved in bulk, tickets are selling out, and the tournament directors are apparently in disbelief at what they are seeing. The fifth Grand Slam is on the verge of evolving into something quite new. Do you believe Alex Eala will make it to the Indian Wells semi-finals this year? Do you think the Filipino audience in California will be the loudest supporters the tournament has ever had? Now leave your prediction in the comment section. Let's discuss what is truly going on in California at the moment, because its scope warrants a thorough understanding rather than being summed up in a single social media post. Alex Eala is competing in the Indian Wells BNP Paribas Open main event, not through a wild card, not by qualifying, but through her position as the 31st ranked person in the world. She achieved a rating that caused the tennis world to pause and take notice after she rose from 137 to 31 in around 12 months. She defeated Jasmine Paolini, ranked 8th in the world with a score of 6,176 in the Miami Open semifinals and the Dubai quarterfinals. A gold medal at the Southeast Asian Games, the Australian Open main draw debut, the Auckland semifinals, and the Abu Dhabi quarterfinals. She had to work hard to win her spot at Indian Wells, which is the only way it truly matters. Additionally, since her admission was confirmed, the tournament organizers have been keeping an eye on ticket sales and hotel reservations. And they seem to be truly horrified by what they are witnessing. The greatest Filipino diaspora in the US is found in California. This state's large, well-organized, sports-loving Filipino-American community has been waiting for a moment much like this one. A player who competes at the top levels of international tennis in their own country while representing the Philippines. Not only did she compete, win, and break records, but former top 10 professionals referred to her as the sport's biggest attraction, and her photo was displayed at Nike World Headquarters in Oregon with the tagline, "History in full bloom." The Filipino community in California has responded in a way that the Indian Wells Tennis Garden has never experienced before because to the combination of athletic achievement and cultural importance. Group reservations are being arranged by fan clubs in Los Angeles, San Diego, and Daly City. Community organizations have reserved entire sections of the stadium in an attempt to generate the same wall of sound that transformed Dubai into a Filipino celebration and featured Coco Gauff thanking the audience following her triumph over Eala in the quarterfinals. Prices for tickets on the secondary market during the sessions when IA is anticipated to perform have already increased noticeably over face value. According to reports, some seats are now twice as expensive as they were initially. Since nothing in their history statistics prepared them for a player rated 30th in the world creating this amount of market demand, the tournament's commercial side is being caught completely off guard by the economic reality of the Eala effect making its way to America. For background, Indian Wells has acquired the moniker Fifth Grand Slam. In 2026, there will be more than $9 million in prizes. Every well-known player in women's tennis is on the pitch. Aryna Sabalenka is a multiple Grand Slam champion and the top player in the world. Iga Swiatek, the reigning champion Mira Andreeva, Coco Gauff, and Jessica Pegula. The list of entries reads like a who's who of the top players in the sport right now. At a tournament of this caliber, these athletes have spent years developing the reputations and outcomes that demand high ticket prices and prime court assignments. Alex Eala, ranked 31st in the world, is in the center of that list and is attracting more ticket interest from a single demographic than the well-known players on paper are from the tennis population as a whole. That's a big statement. The typical business rationale of professional tennis is completely reversed by that. And it's taking place in real time right now. Beaverton, Oregon was the first stop on the way to this point. Eala made a stop at the Nike World Headquarters prior to traveling to California, and the response she got there set the tone for everything that will happen at Indian Wells. Her pictures were already on display, with the greatest athletes the company has ever sponsored in the well-known Nike Tunnel. Her famous face from when she advanced to the Miami semifinals was captured in one portrait. Her face with both hands. Tears are the unfiltered feelings of someone who's just done something that goes above and beyond what they had anticipated. Nike does not caption things carelessly. Therefore, the caption, "History in full bloom," was picked on purpose. A picture of Eala taking a selfie with Filipino supporters was also on display in the tunnel, and it explains exactly what Nike believes makes this collaboration successful. They are investing not only in the athlete, but also in the community that supports her wherever she goes. The placement of that fan photo on the wall at the global headquarters conveys the idea that the EA narrative transcends individual athletic success. Every event she competes in is transformed by this cultural movement, which has a global fan following. The visit to Oregon was scheduled on purpose. In order to allow herself more time to prepare for the conditions at Indian Wells, Yaya traveled to the US early. A particular playing environment is created by the California desert. The air is dry. Ball flight is influenced by altitude. Compared to what she experienced earlier in the year during the Middle East and Oceania swings, the courts played differently. Arriving in the US ahead of the majority of European players, adjusting to the time zone, and being acquainted with the surface conditions. At a tournament where all of the players in the draw are performing at the highest level, these are the margins that count. She had 7 years of instruction at the Rafa Nadal Academy in a setting that valued rigorous preparation and an unwavering work ethic. Her approach to every campaign reflects that foundation. She doesn't arrive the day before and hope for the best. She makes arrangements in advance. She gets ready for certain situations. This kind of deliberate preparation is exemplified by the early arrival in the United States and the visit to the Nike headquarters. It is impossible to overestimate how important it is for her long-term growth to attend Indian Wells with a top 30 ranking as opposed to qualifying. Players that make it through qualifying have previously participated in a number of intense games before entering the main draw. They're bearing weariness. They had already used up the emotional and physical resources that the direct entrance gamers had saved. Eala achieved an incredible feat last year in Miami by qualifying and making it to the semifinals. However, it also meant that she played more games overall under more pressure than any of the opponents she overcame. She is new to Indian Wells this year. She shows up rested. After 2 weeks of recuperation from Dubai, she arrives. She also arrives after visiting the Nike headquarters, which gave her a psychological boost that practice court time cannot match. You can learn more about yourself than you could from training alone when you see your picture on the wall of the world's most well-known sports brand headquarters next to athletes whose names embody what it means to be great. The opposition is strong. Some of the most accomplished athletes in women's sports history are represented by the top seeds in Indian Wells. For a number of years, Sabalenka, ranked first, has been one of the most powerful teams in women's tennis. Swiatek is still one of the most complete players on the tour and has held the top spot for long stretches of time. This event, Andrea is the reigning champion. On their best day, any of them can defeat any player in the field. However, whether or not she can defeat the world number one in straight sets in her first encounter is hardly the main topic of discussion at Indian Wells. It focuses on what transpires over the course of 2 weeks when a player with her profile, form, fanbase, and psychological momentum joins a tournament and begins to advance through the rounds. In the future, the players who defeat her at these competitions will have to do it in front of thousands of Filipino spectators, raising the level of clamor the tournament has never seen during its regular draw rounds. The player whose fans are creating the noise benefits from this genuinely altered competition atmosphere. At every tournament thus far in 2026, Sam Querrey, Steve Johnson, and their discussion about Eala's drawing power being greater than Joel Fence's on the men's side last year have been validated. Auckland's crowds were impressive. They set records in Melbourne. The mood in Abu Dhabi was electrifying. Goff herself spoke to the stands in Dubai, thanking the Filipino supporters for coming and for changing the tournament's atmosphere. California operates on a whole other scale. The Filipino population in this area is more than just a few passionate tourists who came for a unique experience. Since Eala's Miami run last year demonstrated that she was truly capable of playing with and defeating the greatest players in the world, a well-established, sizable organized diaspora has been building anticipation for this precise moment. The tournament organizers, who are apparently shocked by the jump in ticket sales, are not coping with a brief increase in interest that will subside after the draw is made public. They are faced with a structural shift in the attendees and reasons for attending their event. For years, tennis in the US has been trying to reach populations who have not traditionally been very interested in the sport and to draw in more varied audiences. Without a marketing campaign, a well-thought-out outreach plan, or anything other than winning matches and conducting herself with the kind of dignity and competitiveness that makes people proud to associate themselves with her story, Alex Eala achieved that in a single season. Thousands of Filipino fans traveling to the California desert will have an impact on every commercial touchpoint of the tournament, including food vendors, merchandise operations, hospitality suites, parking, and tennis events. The rising ticket prices on the secondary market represent real dollars flowing into the Indian Wells ecosystem from a demographic that was not previously producing that kind of economic activity. She won't be by herself when I enter that court for her competition debut. Behind her, there will be a wall of white, red, and blue. This competition, she will hear her name in a manner that the majority of players at her ranking have never heard. Every opponent will feel like they are the away team in the environment she plays in. Ella must cope with living like Michael Jordan in the Philippines, according to Kim Clears. She is going to